What's up, YouTube? It's your boy, Angry Jackalope, on a Friday night. Yeah, a day early. I got shit I gotta do with the wife tomorrow. So, fuck it. We'll do it on a Friday night. Because that's what we could do. We could do it on a motherfucking Friday. Friday night. So I'm also in the process right now rendering out a new intro because I realized as I was going back and what's up, Simcha? When I was looking at some of the older videos, like, fuck, I don't do Steve and them, Randy and Damien. I don't do those like ever anymore. So I'm like, fuck, they're always on this intro, and you know, I'm going to be doing some other types of reviews and some other shit, but like the channel's shifting. Channel is shifting. Like, I love to talk about shit like this. You know, I enjoy that. I do. Okay? But setting up a chop station, going and spending $50 in gas and time and everything to grab some frozen pig heads, and then spending the whole day chop, and then taking it and spending like 2 to 3 hours editing the video. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to do it. So, channel's changing. Ace back there, he's going to be prominent in some of my marketing and my branding. Just because I do dig him. He is a little fucking jackalope. He's got attitude. He looks angry all the time, so I like him. So he's going to get a little more use. But I think what I'm going to do, well, it's no think. I've made a decision. And I think once I explain it to you guys, you'll say, oh, yeah, that shit makes fucking perfect sense. So, well, that little ding I just heard back there was the thing letting me know my video finished rendering. It only took it fucking almost 3 hours. But, so, I was sitting there, you know, we got the coronavirus doing its thing and whatnot. And so I've been assessing my preps and all that jazz. And one of the things that I have is a stockpile of games. Card games, board games, dice games, you name it. In fact, I'm working on 4 of my own games. I'll share one concept with you shortly. And I was sitting there and I was like, you know, sitting around the dinner table with the kids, playing games with them, is infinitely more entertaining to myself than destroying a frozen pig head. Just saying. And then I thought more about the value of doing an unboxing on a game, playing it with the kids, and then doing a final review. Now, I know a lot of folks that are going to come to this particular show could probably give less than a fuck about games or anything else. That's fine. That's why on this channel, I'm going to just do, here's the game, here's what me and the kids thought, and here's the value of you with your kids in a bug-in scenario. Or if there's a game that has value when you're trying to teach your kids some of the benefits of preparing, right? I think a lot of times us adults, we get to doing what we're doing because we're trying to protect our family and make sure that in the event that something happens, we're actually sitting pretty. But we don't really ever have the time to explain the logistics and the logic behind what we're doing. And some people have the misconception of thinking that we're very negative, that we think some shit's going to go down, when it's actually the opposite. We're pretty much optimistic, because if we were a pessimist, like they allude to, then we wouldn't prepare at all, because our thoughts would be, when a shit hits the fan, like inevitably it will, then we're all gonna fucking die, right? So might as well fucking party hardy right now, like it's 1999, and say fuck it. But we don't. We actually not only think about ourselves and our family and our family's friends and extended family, we also think about strangers a lot of times. At least the Reliant members do. Reliant members are always not just thinking about themselves. They're tasked with threefold preparedness levels, right? Not just them and their families, but also friends and family, and accounting for strangers. So, it is what it is. But so anyway, the logic is this. I love blades, right? I love these, okay? But my taste in blades lends itself to real expensive, comparatively speaking. You know what I mean? Let's see. I hear there's really impacting lobster industry here in Florida. Oh yeah, well shit. The thing is going to impact everything. We'll talk about that a little bit during this episode. But so I like big blades, and I cannot lie. You other brothers can't deny, right? Like, I like the big blades. I like shit like zombie tools, but in the last year, my discretionary income has actually went down tremendously, because there's stuff like physical therapy with me. There's stuff like paying for fucking dentures. There's stuff like paying for the fucking house, etc., etc., etc. Like, I got big boy grown up things I has to pay for, and that makes the fun shit not so fun no more. So anyway, that's the shitty part. So that would mean I could buy the budget blades, which kind of falls between 30 and 40 bucks, right? All right, so I was sitting here thinking, you can go buy yourself one of these nice blades and add it to your collection of 100 plus blades if you wanted to. And you can get the one blade and you can sit and do the one video on the blade. Or you could buy some entertainment shit that you do with the family, the kids, and the wife, and the son, and whatnot. Do an unboxing that goes on a Robert or Rick side. Do a play test where you're actually playing with the kids and getting the rules figured out. And if it's a fun enough game, maybe you do a couple of sessions where you're live streaming it or something else, so other people can actually see how the game plays and have fun with it too. And then you have one video that you put over on the Angry Jackalope side, which is basically, hey, this game was a fucking hoot and holler, and it will definitely lift your fucking spirits in certain situations. Or this is a really, really, really good game to teach your kids about survival. Which is kind of funny, because I had a dream the other night, and I woke up and I had a new game in mind, and it's a very simple game that I think I'm going to play, or build, I should say, called Supply and Demand. But it's a play on words, because it's not really truly about supply and demand. It's like you've got a stack of cards called supply, and then you have a stack of cards called demand. So you draw 5 cards, everybody gets 5 cards, and then at the beginning of each turn, after everybody draws a card, a demand card flops down. And the demand card might be something like cannibalistic horde is starving for meat. Now, you might have pulled a card that had meat. Could have been a spam can. Could have been the cow Bessie. Whatever. It doesn't matter. It has a meat icon on it. It has, some other stuff, and there it is. So the man card drops down. Says, not zombies, are cannibals coming, or zombies coming. Whatever. It doesn't matter. More cannibalistic, because they want meat, right? You get the meat they want, or they're going to eat your ass. Zombies, they want your brains. So there's really no way around that. Anyway, so you put the card down, and you avoid getting eaten or hurt. If you didn't have a meat card, as an example, you would take a point of damage. So there's multiple ways to win and lose in this game. You know what I mean? So like you would be either I get all of the reward cards, or I get 3 reward cards or whatever, and the way you get reward cards in a second, or I'm the last man standing, right? Or the guy I'm playing against or the other players I'm playing against, they run out of cards. Because every turn you can put as many cards down as you want, but if you end up without a card in your hand, you lose the game, right? So it's teaching you that you need to have resources available to solve situations. Now the reward cards might be like glorious breakfast, right? And it would be spam, eggs, and toast, right? So if you had those 3 cards, you can trade those 3 cards in, get that card, and then you set it to being a game, you know, how many reward cards is the win factor. So you can win by the rewards, you can win by last person standing, or you can win, again, kind of last person standing with you're still got cards in your hand. And then there's, you know, and the cards you're getting, there could be cards like steal from another character, so another player. So he's sitting across from me with 1 card. I have that still a card. I play it. I take his card. Game over. I win. Right. So anyway, I think I'm gonna build that game, and I'm gonna call it Supplying the Man. You know, Apocalypse Edition or some shit like that. And it'll be a fun game. Right. All right. So let's see what the notes are here. Let's see here. Nida says Trump's economy, all new jobs going to Indians. Yeah, that shit's been going on for fucking ever. You act like Obama and them weren't fucking leveraging off of the world economy. I have a lot of my developers are in India. It makes a lot of fucking sense. Some bitches is super expensive to pay for American developers, as an example. So I can go Philippines, or I can go India, or I can go Czech Republic. That's pretty much the only things that I've ever done business with. Let's see, SES35VN, buy $100. Oh, you bought yourself a blade? Nice. Gary, 90% of Florida lobsters are consumed in Florida. Hell yeah, man. Well, my wife's allergic to lobster now. She's, I don't know, somewhere along the line she got allergic to lobster. We used to eat lobster all the fucking time. But yeah, man, if I lived on the East Coast and I was near like Boston and all this, man, I would be eating like a motherfucking champ, you know. But yeah, it's funny. The aspects that terrify me of this Kung Flu, which I'm calling it ever since Simicon fucking threw that shit at me a couple of weeks back. I stole it and made it mine. The thing about that is, I saw somebody said to quarantine a single person for the duration of the 2 weeks is in the neighborhood of $100,000 billable. It's for one person, $100,000 fucking dollars, to put them inside of a quarantined environment, give them their fucking 3 meals, you know, run the tests on them, monitor them, the resources of the staff watching them, etc., etc. Obviously, if you've got 10 patients, you got 1 nurse, then you would divide her hourly rate by 10, right? Because she's watching after the 10. So some of those numbers are probably just bullshit numbers, but still, even if you take it at, you know, $20,000 a person, and you go and you start doing a math and you look at some of these numbers that are coming out of China, you know, like 25,000 people infected. You know, 25,000 people infected, if it was at $10 a person, would be $250,000, right? That's if it was at $10 fucking dollars, right? Here we're talking $25,000 to $100,000 a person. So from an economic point of view, this situation is much more dire than the potential body count as of right now. And that is something I'm not hearing a lot of people talking about. I'm not hearing people talk about the actual logistical cost of this particular thing. Now, we're already seeing several different economic indicators and different things where the channel is affecting all of the commerce lines. So it's like, okay, the warehouse in China was holding all of the earbuds for Apple. Well, that warehouse is closed down because they're not allowing anybody to work. So guess what? No AirPods are going out. And so now that's creating a temporary demand influx because there's no supply. That's probably why I was thinking about supply and demand. I was sitting there thinking about this shit. It's mind-boggling to me. You know what I mean? It's just like, are you fucking serious? Like, and then I saw some other folks that I follow on YouTube that supposedly have insider information saying that the crematoriums over in China have been cooking over 150 bodies a day. Oh, that's funny. Garen just threw that out there. Heard a story saying the crematoriums are burning 100 bodies a day. I said 150. So about 100, 150 bodies a day. And it's like, holy shit. You know, and then they were saying that the actual number of dead is substantially higher than the reported numbers. And I could see China doing that because they have a bad history of obscuring and hiding their stuff to make their public relations look that much better. But still, if those were actually truly the case, and you know the numbers that they were saying 83% and blah blah blah, you know, numbers here in America should be substantially higher. They should be by now. They should be. And the fact that they're not actually makes me pretty giddy, makes me pretty happy, because really, if let's take a look at something real quick before I open my mouth. I don't want to because right now all the news is about the Dems and Trump and stuff like that. The virus is like almost on page 3 type shit, right? Shortages of protective equipment worldwide. Yeah, no shit. Royal Caribbean bans all guests holding Chinese Hong Kong passports. Okay, again, that's a good stop measure, but it doesn't really make a difference, right? This one's kind of interesting. Citizen journalists covering outbreak go missing, and that's one of the things that I was kind of hinting at before. Is there's a part of me that thinks that this whole outbreak is a smokescreen, so that China can go and do whatever the fuck they want to do to the folks that were pissing them off for a while there, right? Let's see here. Coronavirus numbers. I had a chart. I had a thing, live updates. Is this the one right here? Let's see here. Another 86 deaths reported. China pushing death toll above 700. When was this? Updated 5 minutes ago. Okay. Royal Caribbean. Woo woo woo. Map tracking the spread. Okay, let's take a look. So they got 22,000. Blah blah blah. Oh, you're gonna hit me for a login. Well, how about fuck off then? Let's see. Deaths in China reached 722. Infection climb above 34,000. He warned of coronavirus. Here's what he told us before he died. Li Wenliang of Wuhan Central Hospital last month. I guess this was a doctor who was talking about it. And we've also had our first baby born to an infected mother, and the baby was showing was infected too, which is not good. I was trying to find a damn Princess Cruises. Oh shit. 61 people tested positive for coronavirus on the cruise ship Yokohama. Steep increase from the 20 confirmed cases. Now, I want to see if any of these motherfuckers start dying. That's when I'm going to be like, interesting. Where's my fucking thing? I had a thing. I can't find it now. I can't fucking find it now. Disney, Nike. Yeah, there's companies that are already affected from it from an economic point of view. Let's see. There's a Caribbean ship quarantined New Jersey, but flights out of China still flying. Yeah, I know. I know. I know. What's up, Nacho Chase? What's up? Demand for Chinese New Year usually drives lobster prices 15 to 20 pound. Runs $6 a pound now. Fuck yeah, I would be over there just eating like a goddamn king. I'd be like, lobster, lobster. Because I like lobster. Lobster is delicious. Let me see if I move this down a little bit. If it will take some of that light, that blue off. There we go. Well, I guess that light's coming from over there. Oh well, doesn't really matter. So, you know, the Tempo report 100,000 affected by it. So yeah, see that's the thing. There's conflicting numbers, and you know, my problem with these conflicting numbers is the really, really high ones that I'm seeing. If that were truly the case, then we by now should be seeing 80 cases in America. Easy. We've been hovering around 10 for some time now. And some of these folks were self-quarantining themselves and things of that nature, which is fine. But we're hearing that this thing has a pass-along rate of 4 and is 83% infectious. Even if the person is not symptomatic, they're still able to infect people, right? Okay, well, if that's the case, we should see a lot more people sick right now, but we're not. So on a cruise line, the way that those are showing, that's kind of what we should be seeing here in America. Now, granted, a cruise ship, you're kind of on a boat, right? But anyway, only the CDC and WHO have been lowballing the numbers. Yeah, but, you know, I don't really, and I'm going to slap myself for saying this because I really don't like the CDC or the WHO for that matter. But I also think when you're dealing with things like this, a conservative approach with verifiable data. If you're dealing with a country like China, who historically lie about everything from fucking earthquakes to bird flu numbers, then, you know, you kind of want to look at it and go, well, think they're full of shit. Do we go high, like some of these reports we're seeing, or do we take the data that we know, okay? Fuck it. We're going to take the numbers that we know, and maybe give it plus or minus 10%. And those will be the numbers that we publish, because we don't want to be held responsible as the big fear mongers, you know, freaking people out. And that's kind of government like MO, right? Like every time you ever hear something about like aliens, or you hear something about something like a asteroid or something's going to plow into the planet, every depiction, every way that they talk about it is, oh, let's not freak out the population, because the population is a bunch of fucking idiot monkeys that if they hear bad news, they're going to run around and kill everything and destroy shit. Which, to be honest, I agree with. I agree with that shit 199%. Because your typical fuckhead out there who spends zero time critically thinking is going to hear some shit from some authoritative source that he is following, and he's going to say, oh shit, we're all going to die. Fuck it. Let's just go and go out in a blaze of glory. You know? Let's see. China quarantined 6 major cities, blowing up bridges and tunnels and building walls on the highway. Yeah, I know. That's the shit that caught my attention at first, was the level they were going through to lock these areas in. I was like, something serious is going on. Let's see. I knew a hot Vietnamese chick from Winnipeg once. I'm still alive. Or they don't want everybody to wig out and are purposely misleading the public. Yeah, that's pretty likely. It's pretty likely. And if that's the case, then we, in our own little areas, when we start to hear people being people being infected and things of that nature, we need to be diligent and make sure people aren't hiding it, right? But it'll be interesting to see if other people that are somewhat influential start getting ghosted. You know what I mean? Like, if you stop and think about it, this is the perfect scenario to ghost a motherfucker and not have anybody really look with really hard scrutiny, right? Because they want to take Rob Ricks out. Well, they just come in their little hazmat suits, roll up in the front, start throwing plastic around my fucking house, leak a story that I'm patient number 1 in Utah, and I've got some kind of mutated variant that has Ebola-like symptoms, causes massive bleeding out the nose and everything else. And then they come in, and I'm fighting with them, and then they inject me with some shit, and then suddenly I am bleeding out of my eyes and my fucking nose because they're already hazmated out, right? Then they take me out, let the public see the fucking photos and everything else. Now they can go with fucking impunity and take out any motherfucker they want, and nobody's going to say anything but thank you. They're going to say fucking thank you because, oh my God, that was right next door to me. Yeah, Rob was a great guy, but fuck that shit. I'm glad that whatever he had didn't come over and get me. Right? That's how your typical motherfucker is going to think. You could be your best fucking friend and he'll have survivor guilt. Damn, I feel so bad, man. Rob was my boy. But in the back of his mind, he's thinking, shit, better Rob than me. You know what I'm saying? Backwoods says, my hospital has been training the ER staff because they thought they had a case, but it was just a flu. Yeah, see, that was another thing I talked about the other day. How hard is it to not fly off the handles and freak the fuck out? What's up, Bronx? I'm doing this a day early because I have plans with my wife tomorrow. She hit me up and said, hey, can we go do this tomorrow? And I'm like, what time? She's like, 5 o'clock. I'm like, well, I'm not going to be home by 7. So I said, fuck it, I'll do my show early. Because I'll do it early as opposed to not doing it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you know, how do you properly assess the situation with no tests, right? Well, Yak, I'm already dead. They injected me with the shit that made my eyes bleed out, and I'm like, I'm dead. They just assassinated me, but nobody's gonna question it. You know what I'm saying? It's like the most brilliant coup d'etat of getting rid of people you don't like. It's like, okay, this group right here is problematic. This group's problematic. I mean, China right now, they're like, dude, we can lose 1 million people. It's no big deal. We can lose 1 million. They got 1 billion. They're like, fuck, we can lose 1 million. That's a small fucking number. Like, they're not tripping. And the flu alone, just a regular flu, kills a fucking huge chunk of people. But this is the perfect fucking smoke screen because they can block out the roads, so now nobody can go in. Nobody knows what the fuck is going on there except for these rogue reporters on the inside that are using VPNs to traverse out of an internet, right, and get their message out. Come on now, China can shut that down regardless. Fucking VPNs, fuck, they could totally block that shit. It's not even fucking funny. Democrats lost their emoluments lawsuit against Trump today. Come on, we talked about that, 3-4 weeks ago? I told you guys this shit wasn't going to mount, and it was going to be a big nothing burger, and that's exactly what it was. You know, I was tripping, man. I saw Nancy Pelosi rip up the State of the Union. I'm like, really? You're that fucking petty? Like, and I saw Trump maybe snub her, maybe not snub her. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he snubbed her. And I'm just like, okay, so he didn't shake your hand. He left you hanging. Man, do you realize how many times I've had my shit out and someone left me hanging and I just go, whatever. You play that shit off. Like if I would have did that, if it was me, I'm Nancy Pelosi and I lost a fight with Trump and I go to shake his hand, he's like, no, I'm like, whatever. I played off slick style, whatever, it's all good. Whatever, dude, it's cool, And they'll be like, did he flip his finger? It's like, no, I broke this finger. I broke this finger, so I can't actually keep it straight. So, I was trying to salute, but I broke my finger. You see, it's broken. It got hurt. So my finger's broken. That's what happened. But she fucking ripped that shit. And then later on I found out, yep, Brian, I found out those are official papers. Like she's supposed to sign her copy and check it in at a thing, but she ripped it. So according to some people, she broke the law. And I had to think, I bet she did that shit on purpose. I bet she did on purpose. So if they try to throw a conviction there, she's like, oh, great. I get a conviction because I ripped some papers and he gets to walk free because of this, this, and this. I'm telling you, they are trying their absolute best to make us fight, to make people from different ideological backgrounds fight. Then I gotta tell you, it ain't gonna work because America's filled with a bunch of fucking pussies. It ain't gonna be no civil war. Other than some people, very small minority people with fucking chain locks, getting paid by Soros and them, causing a ruckus. Nobody's gonna start no shit because nobody wants no shit. Nobody wants to bleed. Nobody wants to do anything remotely uncomfortable. So there will be no fucking civil war. Be a bunch of people crying in the fight. It'll be some social media civil war, which we see right now. The country is so firmly divided. You have people on one side that's saying something. Like I go purposely and read people from opposing points of view of mine to see what it is that they believe, to see what it is that they're thinking, and then try to make myself think the way they do, right? And I gotta tell you, I can't do it. But I understand their positioning, their points of view. Like I go, okay, I see what they're complaining about, but you can't really say that about this president and not apply it to previous presidents with the illegal shit that almost all of them, almost every last president going way back is not squeaky fucking clean. They're all corrupt, dirty motherfuckers that are witness to thousands upon thousands of atrocities and murder. Might as well be like, okay, look, if I go in a room and I see somebody getting raped and I don't stop it from happening, right? I'm just sitting there and I'm just watching, I'm drinking a drink and I walk out. I'm an accomplice, right? Because I didn't do anything. I didn't say nothing. I didn't stop it. I'm seeing a crime occurring and I am doing nothing. So a lot of these previous presidents, man, they were witness and party to a lot of criminal shit. So I'm kind of like, whatever. These motherfuckers are stupid. Yep, divide and conquer. Oldie but goodie. Simicon. Both parties have so many skeletons in the closet. If either party tried to start a war, both parties would lose just from the fact that not one individual in our government is without sin. That's my exact motherfucking point. It is so retarded. And then you have the people. See, this is the thing that bugs me. It's the same thing with sport teams, right? You have somebody that's so like in a sports team. And if their team doesn't win, they're really upset and they're like really distraught and they get really mad about it. And I'm like, it's a fucking game with people getting paid a shit ton of money. Who cares? They lost. It's like I root for a fighter. The fighter gets his ass kicked. Oh well, he got his bell rung. Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. No big deal. But I see people backing Trump like he's this white knight and he can do no wrong and blah blah blah. I'm like, okay, that's fine. But then I see some people that are supporting him, they go so far as to just like take venom and hate towards the other side, and vice versa. I see people on the Dem side staking a lot in the ground. It's all, yeah, Democrats is the superior intellectual party and the Republican, what do you call those? What do they call the Republicans? I don't even know because I'm not on that side. The Republicards or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I know they say the the demtards or the demo idiots or whatever. Like, you know, they have names for each other. Like, I don't know these names because I don't partake in this shit. I don't fling mud. I don't waste my fucking time with that shit because both of those parties are completely full of shit. And actually, if I were to take myself and take my individual beliefs, there's a little bit that sits on the Democrat side, a little bit that sits on the Republican side. There's some independent thought and there's some, you know, libertarian thoughts. And, you know, like, I think most of us that are conscious thinking individuals are not defined black and white on one side. It's not like, it's like Coke or Pepsi. I like Coke for the burn, and there's times I want a Coke, but there's sometimes I want a fucking Pepsi. You know, I'm kind of indifferent. I go to a restaurant, ask for a Coke, and they're like, sorry, we only have a Pepsi. I don't go, you only have a Pep. Like, I see people melt down for brand loyalty for this duopoly of right, wrong, what, like, it's really nuts. It's really fucking nuts. You know? Yeah, exactly. Knighted, almost all of them going back to Lincoln. Fuck Lincoln. Lincoln himself. That shit with the emancipation, like, that shit was tactical. The shit was tactical. You know what I mean? It's like, okay, it's, you know, let's get biblical. Let he who has not sinned cast the first stone. No rocks thrown. You know what I'm saying? It's like, fuck Martin Luther King. They like to put his ass on the pedestal. Nah, nope. You know, any lead, like any human being you point at is immensely flawed in so many fucking ways. You know, somebody says, Rob, you know, no, I'm a flawed motherfucker. I'll tell you straight up. Don't shit. Don't put me on a motherfucking pedestal. That would be a mistake. But see, I know my fuck-ups, and I know my faulty way of thinking, and I understand the reasons for a lot of the things that I do. That's why I'll be the first to tell you, don't do it. Don't you do it. You know, Mandela from South Africa, same shit. There's not one. I don't care. You can take out Mother Teresa. But if you dig and you actually were into her mind and her inner thoughts, you're going to find everybody's fucking flawed. Now, some people do tremendous amount of good. And the statements that I just made was not meant to knock any of those people. It was just to make an honest assessment. The level of what is perceived as perfection, righteous, right and wrong are always subjective. What's good today is bad tomorrow, and vice versa. So don't get caught up with the bullshit. That's all I'm saying. You can respect people. Like, I see a lot of people looking at Che Guevara, and they say, oh, viva la revolution, blah, blah, blah. And they look at stuff. And I'm like, yeah, they made Che a martyr by parading his body around after they fucking killed him. Jesus Christ is an exception to the rule, JC, because Jesus Christ, in my definition, was not a human being. But, even though I said that, there were parts where Jesus was corrected when he was dealing with Mary Magdalene, for example. When he first was saying, my people, and then she corrected him. So you could see, but he admitted, he was like, okay, right? So there's parts, even in the Bible, where Jesus maybe wasn't exactly 100% perfect. Again, now here's the funny part. That's our interpretation of Jesus. Let's talk about Muslims. For example. Let's talk about a culture where they subjugate women and they don't give them rights, and sometimes they're very abusive to them, but their point of view of what's right and wrong, okay, right and wrong is vastly different than ours. But who gives us the moral high ground to say what they're doing is right and wrong? Oh, they're making their women cover their faces and their bodies and stuff, and they're forcing them to do that. Okay, well, let's look at it from a practical point of view. Now, me as a father, do I want my daughter walking around in a full headdress, full clothing, covering all the curves in their body and stuff so that men don't look at them with lustful thoughts? Yeah, actually, I would like that. Because I see some of the shit these kids walk around with their fucking pussies looking like little fucking camel toes in their shorts and shit ripped up where you could damn near see the meat of their fucking pussies and shit and their ass hanging out the back. And I'm like, holy fuck. And then people wonder why there's all this lust and all this horrible shit that happens. I'm not saying the Muslims are right. I'm saying I understand some of the thinking because they understood men are filthy, horrible animals that want nothing more than power and fucking. You can argue with me all you want, but at the end of the day, a human being is a smart animal with base desires. Okay? So, it's like, do I want my kids covered up so people don't lust after them and want to rape them and fuck them and do shit? Yep, you betcha. But I live in a society where we give them freedoms, we give them choice. Say, hey, you wear what you want to wear, but understand, you get in a wrong situation, you put yourself in a wrong situation, they're going to crucify you in court saying, well, look how you're dressing, look how you're acting, blah, blah, blah. You're asking for it, right? So anyway, primitive brain takes over. That's exactly right, Jay. So, people can sit and argue to find points on all of what I just said. But my point is this. Nobody's fucking perfect, and anybody who claims perfection is living in a fantasy world because it's subjective at best. Nobody can define what is truly perfect, right? If you are a religious person, you have a set of ideology that you follow, that you try to live your life by. You have a code. You have a moral code, okay? I'm not saying everybody should have that. I'm just acknowledging how things are. Even my shit, the way that I feel. With the Holy Father and, Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, the way that my personal belief system is. I follow a set code. I don't tell anybody else to live their life any other way. They live however the fuck they're going to live. And I don't give a shit because I also believe that I don't have the right to judge you. But I'll call a duck a duck. If it walks like a duck and it quacks like a fucking duck, I will call it a duck. And that's the other problem I have. We live in a racist society. Make no mistake about it. And racism is not discouraged. Racism is encouraged and supported from the top level down. Why? Because it keeps the motherfuckers divided. He's white, he's black, blah, blah, blah. Who gives a fuck? Okay? But again, something walks like a duck, quacks like a duck, blah, blah, blah. It's a fucking duck. And I love, this is the thing that cracks me up. When people take the shit that Trump said when he's talking about, I want to run up and grab this bitch by the pussy and blah, blah, blah. They could be mad all they want. But he just got caught. He just got caught saying shit that the vast majority of men think on a regular basis. That's what's fucking stupid. I think we can all agree the only pure soul in existence is Keanu Reeves. Keanu Reeves is a good guy. He's a great guy. Look, but he's not fucking pure. I guarantee at some point he sat in the closet or in the bathroom beaten off with some very unpure fucking thoughts. I guarantee it. You know what I mean? But, it is what it is. I mean, people can get mad at me and say, you're a fucking, you're an ass or whatever. Don't talk about Keanu. Pick anybody that you absolutely love and understand that is a human being. Human beings are flawed. If you go from a biblical point of view, then why would Jesus sacrifice himself for us? Because he already knew the cards were against us. We were fucking inherently flawed. We were fucked from the get-go. So if you look at what the gospel is in the Bible, and this is nothing that pisses me off when people take shit out of context and they say it the wrong way. Look, the whole concept of Jesus is basically he came, sacrificed himself because he knew we were fucking dipshits. And all he said was, I died to take all your fuck-ups so you actually have a chance in the afterlife. That's it. Done deal. That's the most simplistic version of it. And the only thing that they want is for you to say, dude, thanks. I appreciate that shit. because they knew the end of the day, human beings were fucked. That's it. That's it. Bottom line. You know, I know hundreds of great people, but I also know, this is another thing I love. Another thing I love. When people say, I would never do X, right? Never do X. Let's play a game right now. I'm looking at each and every one of you right now. Find something like, I would never ever kill another person, right? Okay. Now, my leverage points are obviously going to be different for different people. But for all of you that have kids or something that you love as much as a kid, could be your dog, cat, whatever. I don't judge. But I would never kill. Okay. You come home and you find somebody with your child bent over the couch and they are ramming their dick up your child's ass. And your child is screaming in pain and agony. And you mean to tell me suddenly that pure thought of, I will never kill, is actually going to stand? No. Okay. No, Rob, still, I would incapacitate him and call the authorities and have the authorities come. All right. Let's change it up a little bit then. Let's change it up a little bit. There is a button in front of you. Okay? You're sitting at a table with a button in front of you. There is a briefcase sitting next to that button. In that briefcase is a document signed by the President of the United States that says, if you push this button, no legal recourse could ever be done against you. Okay? You are basically a pardon before you push this button. Now, in that same envelope and everything that's sitting there is a bank card on it. Okay? And the bank card says, if you push this button every day for the rest of your life and the rest of your children's life and the rest of your children's life, as long as your bloodline continues, every single day, $1 million will go into that account. Okay? All you gotta do is push this button. Now you ask the logical question. What's the button? Oh, the button is, you're gonna kill this person. Okay? Is it a bad person, a good person? You don't know. It's just a person. Don't know who that person is. Now, really, honestly, in your heart of hearts, who here would not fucking blink once and then fucking mash that button? For those of you who say, not me, I would not push that button. Nope, I wouldn't push the button. To you, I say, you are a remarkable individual. Remarkable. And I salute you, because that is a very, very, very small minority. The vast majority of people, shit, they probably tear a muscle pushing that button. I'll tell you the truth. Remember earlier I told you, don't put me on a pedestal. Guess what? I'd push that button. I would push that button, even though I know in my heart, killing is wrong. Even though I know that. But in my mind of justification and everything else, I'm like, shit. My family is covered for the rest of their lives. $1 million a fucking day can change the world. If they choose to do it, yeah, I could do that. I could live with that consequence. You know what I mean? But that's my point. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. There is always a leverage point to manipulate, to give you the justification to do what you would normally say you wouldn't do. Hell, cannibalism. You would say right now, and you would believe, I would never eat another person. But if you're starving, your brain changes. It actually physically changes. And you will do everything in your power with self-preservation to stay alive, including eating another person. So anyway. Can there be two buttons side by side on top of soft mounds of flesh? Sure, if that helps you make the button push it. You know what I mean? The money is going to change a lot of people's minds too. That's what I'm saying, man. You'd be surprised how morally corrupt society is. And I love when people get on their fucking moral high grounds and say, oh, I'm like, uh-huh. Yes, you'll eat your dog if you're hungry enough. Your dog will eat you if it's hungry enough. You know, self-preservation is a powerful instinct. It's a powerful instinct. Well, Yak, I hope you never have to get into a position where you have to make that decision. Is all I'm saying. Look, I love everybody that will take the moral high ground and argue with me and dispute me and everything else. That's fine. And I have a good friend of mine. We got in this huge debate about cannibalism and everything else. And he's like, no, I wouldn't eat your body. And I told him, you know what? If it got to a situation and we were on top of a mountain and everybody was eating but you, and you died, I would push you off the side of a cliff so nobody would eat your body. Because I said that I would respect you in that regard. Just make sure you die near the edge. And make sure your ass is real gaunt and skinny so I can justify and say, look, man, there was no meat on him. He was a big, tall, skinny black dude. He had no meat on him. You know what I mean? But it's just, it's just one of those things where I think most people don't honestly assess situations. They don't honestly look at things and see the full picture. And that's the big problem. That's the big problem. Everybody looks at one side. And they might look at the other side, but they're not looking at the edge. They're not looking at the bottoms. They're just looking at right there. And it's not really most people's fault because critical thinking in America, and I'm just talking about America. I'm not going to talk about it anywhere else because I don't have a right to talk about anywhere else because I don't have enough data. But in America, critical thinking has gone out the window, completely out the window. I look at some of the shit, my kids included. I look at some of the shit that I see and I just go, are you fucking serious? You did 1, 2 and stop. Like, okay, you couldn't figure the rest of it out? Oh, it's too hard. So, I I shudder and I'm completely filled with fear. If something along the great lines of the Great Depression were ever to strike America again, and that's it. That's it. Let's see. But what if there's a chance one of your loved ones might die? I'd still push that button. That's a fucked up thing to say. It is. You know what I mean? But it is what it is because the benefit, I'm talking about, I just condemned my fucking soul. So fuck, I'm worried about one of my loved ones. The fact that I consciously chose to push that fucking button says just how morally corrupt I myself am, right? So walking you with my eyes open, okay, I pushed a button. I have 3 kids. If one of them instantly just drops dead, well, at least they didn't suffer, they didn't hurt. I'm wrecked and horrified and I feel fucking really shitty. But if I'm being blunt, shit, the other 2 are gonna fucking not want for anything ever. And they might hate me, that's fine. But I don't expect anyone to ever understand anything that I do because nobody can ever walk a mile in my shoe. Period. And so, yeah, that's horrible. And that'd be I think I'd probably end up laughing because of the cruel paradox there, right? The ironic poetic justice of me pushing the button thinking somebody outside of my love would be affected. But it's the same thing like the coronavirus, right? It's like I told my kids, honest assessment, the data I have in front of me right now, if it does elapse and it affects 80% and say it gets into our household, pretty good chance I'd die, right? Or your mom would die. I said, but you guys probably be okay. And they looked kind of shook by that, but I was thinking to myself, shit, somebody told me that, I'd be like, great. Great, But yeah, it's like, it's a fucked up thing. Here's a fun game for you. If you take guilt out of most decisions, okay, and you make them snap decisions, here's the thing that I typically will do. I do this with the kids all the time, and they always, when they get to the answer, they always go, "Ooh!" Right? So whatever the hard thing is you're trying to figure out, up or down, left or right or whatever, right? Give yourself some flashcards, write a bunch of other questions on there: black, white, red, green, yellow, blue, up, down, hot, cold, fat, skinny, whatever. Just a bunch of if ors, right? And then you make a game of just nailing it, and answering it as quick as possible, right? And then watch what happens when you get to the one that you've been hemming and hawing over, okay? And you just make the decision as quick as possible. Now, there's time for you to feel guilty after the fact, but there's a thing that says hesitation kills, right? You get to a life or death situation and you pause to weigh it out, you're dead, right? So you play the game, you make the decisions and everything, and then you go, wow. Because guess what? The funny thing is, 9 times out of 10, that first horrible decision that you knew the answer instantly when you were posed the question. You knew it immediately, but you didn't want to be the monster that made that decision. You didn't want to be that person, the bad guy, right? But in your heart of hearts, you knew, shit, that was the only answer. Like, how many times have you watched a movie and there's the one guy, he's the smart guy, like, no, don't let him in. If you do, fuck, we're gonna die and blah blah blah. And everybody's like, no, we gotta save this person. And they let him in, and then half of them die. Okay, well, the guy, the asshole, was right. And if you look at the body count, the data substantiates his thing, but he's the asshole because he knew how to make the tough decisions and he knew what was right and wrong. Okay, as far as what the situation dictated, not from the moral point of view or from the rational, society-driven, humanity point of view, but from the survival point of view. You see what I'm saying? How what is wrong one time is suddenly right another time, and what is black one time is suddenly white. And that's where critical thinking has to become a factor, and also being realistic with the threats that you're dealing with or the situation that you're dealing with. Like, how many times we see a movie or something where society falls and suddenly the good guy, he's doing all this horrible shit, and we're like, okay, that's fine because situation changed. Yeah, he's supposed to do that. But if you took him and you pulled him out of that scenario and you popped him back into our real life scenario right now, well, he would be death sentenced 95 times over, right? So anyway, in summary, all of the things that we're facing, all of the stuff that's happening in our world, okay, most of it is meant to divide us and keep us from being together. And what I would propose to all of us is, since we're all fucked up and flawed anyway, we have a lot more in common together than apart. And so why would we allow stupid, superficial, little things to keep us from thriving and bringing humanity forward? Right? When all of these other things that are really important get kind of pushed to the side, and then we start to fucking argue and wrestle over this dumb, inconsequential bullshit. That's it. That's all I gotta say. You know, it's like a saying, easier to ask forgiveness than ask permission. Yeah, but that's, you can introvert that, make that an inside thing, right? Tell yourself sorry later. Get the shit done right now. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the right way to really look at things anyway. You need to be able to do things. And there's a lot of people that will sit on a fence and not do something because they're afraid of the consequences of taking action. So, WWG1, WGA. What's that, JC? What are you asking right there? What we give one, what we give all? Oh, where we go one, we go all. Okay, took me a second to figure out what that was. I assume you're referring to things like Q, right? I'm very suspect over that whole movement, to be honest with you, and have been for a long time. At first, I was very hopeful and very optimistic, but I don't know. But I definitely think external to all of that, not following just any leader. We need to stop following leaders, and we need to be our own little micro leaders. That's the problem, because the problem with following a leader is you put a target on his head, and it's really easy to kill a movement, because once you take out the leader, the movement's done. You know what I'm saying? I follow quite a bit on that, and I don't have a problem with it. I'm just still a little suspect, but I think it's suspect for a whole different reason above and beyond what most people are looking at a superficial level. I think there's major different players doing stuff, and I think it ties into stuff like the coronavirus, and I think some of the parties that are playing around in there is almost like Illuminati 2.0, 3.0, 4.0, 5.0, whatever. But I don't, I definitely think there's powers at force right now. There's powerful forces at play right now that are going to change the face of the planet. Yes. But the problem is researching in a medium that is already controlled, and I think it is good for people to do their own due diligence and do their own research, but I think it's also vitally more important to be able to have discernment and critical thinking abilities to be able to read between lines and everything else and see agendas. So Q is brilliant because it does force you to read between the lines. It does force you to do critical thinking, but at the same time, it is setting a narrative. It is setting a certain ideology and some other stuff. And I think what's going to be more important is to be able to look at something like that, but also still be able to look at your own ideology and maybe other people's ideologies and find the overlapping boundaries and say, okay, the ultimate truth is here, because the truth is never going to be here or here or here or here. It's always going to be here. It's a mixture of a lot of different spheres of different influence. And understand even the nature of our reality around us is suspect. So anyway, that's that. You guys might have noticed some new shit right here. I have ways for people to support me. I'm not doing I forgot what those things are called or anything else, but anybody that wants to support the channel and help it grow or anything else, especially on the Robert R. Rick side, I now have this coffee deal down here. So if you want to buy me a cup of coffee, it's greatly appreciated. You want to buy some swag or some gear from tacticalgeek.com, that's awesome as well. You want to support the channel, like this fucking video and share this shit. That also helps. So anyway, yeah, Anonymous is still a thing. There's a bunch of people. Anonymous is a group that continues to grow every single day, just like the Q movement grows every single day. See, the problem with movements is, and Q is brilliant because it doesn't have any leadership. You don't know who the fuck the leaders are. You don't know who the narrator behind the shadow of secrecy is. You have no idea who it is. And that's kind of brilliant. I would almost say we need to create a Hydra situation where we have cell structures. We have an ideology, and then people like my Reliant stuff. I don't know everybody who's in the Reliant. I know a few of the people that I brought into the Reliant, but it ends right there. I don't know ultimately who's under them. And I designed the Reliant for that reason. So that way, if for whatever reason somebody decided to put my ass on some fucking pedestal, it was irrelevant. The movement was on its own. The Reliant could do its own thing regardless of whoever was in top, because it's designed as a cell structure so that people can learn and look after their own people, their own spheres of influence, and try to do right by the concept, the philosophy, right? That's why on the bottom of the videos there's messages, because I don't know who's in it, but I have messages down there that correlate with some of the things that the group has, right? And it's the only time you'll see these messages pop up like that is when there's situations like coronavirus and all this other stuff that's happening, where we get into this kind of precarious position where I want to make sure to remind Reliant members their obligations and their responsibilities. That's it. If they do it, great. If they don't, that's for them. They have to they have to live with themselves. But anyway, yeah, so I'm not doing Patreon or anything else, but the coffee.com/Robert R. Ricks, if you go and you buy a cup of coffee, it's like $3. It goes straight into my PayPal or whatever. It helps out, especially since, you know. Oh, and the other thing that's funny is, if you want to do something really fucking retarded, if you do buy a cup of coffee, there's a spot that allows you to put a message in there. So if you're going to say, Rob Rick sucks dicks, it's going to go here. Like, I can't control that. So if you guys want to prank me, or you want to say something that, you know, you want to get a message out or whatever, you could do that. Or there's an option when you do the message to do a private message. And that, I think the private message comes to me. I don't know how that works. I haven't done it yet. But I like the fact that it's just a cup of coffee. You know what I mean? Just please don't become another L. Ron. Nope. Reliant Movement is it's almost like the code of Bushido, right? Or the code of chivalry. It's a set of ideologies for the members to have a code, because I felt a long time ago, man is better when we have a code of honor. And I didn't like the concept of preppers, so I came up with the concept of we are the Reliant. And I built certain things around that. You know, the website and everything, just there's like a mantra that anybody can see. There's like our creed is on that site. So if you go, we are the Reliant, wearthereliant.com, you'll see what it is. And basically it's just being a light in the darkness. It's not like asking for anybody to be of any religious background or anything else. It's just, there's a code. It's just help others. Be fucking a cool motherfucker. Don't be an asshole. But it's also hold your brothers accountable. Like, I picked 3 people, and those 3 people picked 3 people, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And ultimately, I'm responsible for the 3 that I chose. And they in turn are responsible for the 3 that they chose, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, you know, it's not like there's no dues, there's no money, there's nothing involved with it. It's just, we don't like to be called preppers. We prefer to be called Reliant. And it was just one of those things that I came up with years before Angry Jackalope show. And, you know, it's those 3 are like my closest brothers. They're like the people I love, probably more than even some of my own blood. So anyway, I didn't mean to get this on a side tangent, but it is what it is. But that's it for now. The Robert R. Ricks real-time story time will be, hey, what's up, Chance? That's right. Hail Hydra. Will be Sunday. That's going to go down same time as always. I'm upgrading some stuff. I have some new intros and some other things to and some new sound effects and stuff like that. So if you guys have a chance, stop by Sunday, 7 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, 6 o'clock on the West Coast. What was that? It would be like 9 o'clock on the East Coast. And that's on my Robert R. Ricks YouTube side. Some of the folks that have been going there since the beginning, I can't thank you enough, but I think they're getting tired of coming up with multiple keywords and phrases every Sunday. So if we can get some new blood in there, throwing some fucking words in, that would be greatly appreciated. Yep, 9 p.m. East Coast. That's right. Like I said, I'd greatly be appreciative if that happens. Yeah, and definitely hit the like. If you like the shows, hit the likes. That's pretty helpful. But that's going to be it for now. So if you like it, please subscribe. Tell your friends far and wide. hit that reminder bell thingy-majigum, whatever. And live life to the fullest, ride the bus till the wheels fall off, get some scars, find some love, all that jazz. And I will see you motherfuckers next time.